welcome back to my channel. So before I get into this video, I did want to talk to you guys about a few things. Now, I know a lot of my traffic to my YouTube comes from my Instagram, and I've been super MIA on Instagram lately just because I've been shadow banned. And I did say this on my Instagram story, but a lot of you don't know what shadow banning is, which I don't blame you. Basically what shadow banning is that when I use hashtags, I don't show up on people's feeds who don't follow me. So I will show up on someone's feed who does follow me in any of the hashtags, but I don't show up on anyone who doesn't follow me. If you look at those hashtags and you don't follow me, I'm basically a ghost to you, like I don't even exist. That's been really annoying for me because Instagram is where I do all my business. It's where my clients come from. It's where I do paid advertisements for companies. So the fact that I'm basically invisible now to anyone new really kind of stunts my growth, and it's just so frustrating to me. I really hope I can get it resolved soon and that it goes away. I'm like praying to God, but yeah, that's why I've been off Instagram for a little bit, and there's like not much activity coming from me there just because I'm giving it some time to calm down and reset, and hopefully it does reset. I don't know, I'm like stressing out. But anyways, I thought I'd release a lot more YouTube videos just because I did say I was gonna get on that, and I think this is just giving me the push that I need to do that. So I guess it's a blessing in disguise, you could say. You always have to look for the positive in things. Yeah, that's that. I don't want to complain about it too much and just be a bummer on here. Anyways, I'm going to get right into what we're actually supposed to be talking about in this video, which is concealers. Now, I get a lot of questions about what my favorite concealer is and how I cover up my dark circles and yada yada yada. So I thought I would do a video just kind of spilling the beans on what products I like to use and the techniques a little bit. To begin, a lot of you already know that I have pretty bad dark circles and I really like a full coverage around my eyes. So the concealers I will be showing you are pretty much a medium to heavy coverage concealer. If you're looking for something that's much lighter, I don't know if this is the video for you. Now, before I get into actually talking about what my favorite concealers are, I wanted to talk about undertones. So we all know we have different undertones. Brown people tend to have a lot more yellow undertones. People that have deeper, richer skin have like more reddish undertones. Now, around my eyes, because I have dark circles, the undertones to my eyes are more blue than they are yellow or red or pink or whatever the case is. With that being said, you want to be able to color correct those undertones so that it neutralizes the base and the concealer can work to its maximum-ness. Now, because I have dark eyes, the undertones to my eyes are blue. With that being said, you want to color correct this blue so that when you apply your concealer, it looks like it actually brightened up your eyes and doesn't make your eyes look gray or ashy. So in the case of having dark circles and those blue undertones, you're going to want to use a color corrector that's peachy orange in shade. I personally love my Vasanti Liquid O2 color corrector. I talk about it all the time and it is my absolute favorite. So this is what the bottle looks like, what the applicator looks like, and the color of the actual color corrector. You can see it's more of a peachy orange rather than like a true orange. With that being said though, just because a peachy orange works on my skin tone doesn't mean that it'll necessarily work on your skin tone. If you have deeper skin, I would go with more of a true orange. If you have lighter skin, I would go with more of a pinky peachy kind of color. And if you're in the middle like I am, I would go with like something that has more of a heavy peach base. The reason I love the Liquid O2 from Vasanti is because when I blend it into my skin, it pretty much looks like the same color as my skin tone. It really neutralizes my base. I've had the issue where I've used an orange color corrector and it just looks way too orange on my skin, and then it just doesn't cover anything up properly. And I've had so many clients and just people that DM me saying the exact same thing. It just looks way too orange for them. So you really need to find a color corrector that works well for your skin tone and not just what other people recommend. Just because the undertones of your eyes are blue doesn't necessarily mean you need to throw on like the orangest like color corrector that you can find to counteract that. There's different tones of blues, there's different variations of it. Some people have a heavier blue undertone than others, so those are all things that you really need to take into consideration before you just slap on any color corrector. Now, if you don't have any like dark circles or anything like that, you can totally skip that step. You don't need a color corrector, and you can probably just get away with wearing regular concealer. And just to give you guys a little bit of reference before I start talking about the concealers, I'll tell you my foundation shades from MAC, just because I feel like MAC is the most universal like foundation. Everyone's kind of went through their MAC phase and knows their shade. So in the summer, I am an NC42, and in the winter, I am an NC40. So please keep that in mind when I'm showing you these shades and concealers. One more thing that you guys need to know about concealer is that you need to actually know what you want to end up looking like. So some people really like that highlighted look, the really bright eyes, you know, it really pops. And if that's the case, then you want to go about 2 to 3 shades lighter than what your actual skin tone is to really give that highlighted effect. Now, if you're more like me, I like more of a neutral base. I just want underneath my eyes to look like the rest of my skin. I don't want that super highlighted under my eyes kind of look. And if that's the case, I would just stick with the concealer that's around the same kind of skin tone as you, rather than going a couple of shades lighter. Now, with all that background information being said, I'm going to get into what products I absolutely love in terms of concealers. I feel like I've said concealers like 5,000 times. Anyways, the first concealer that I absolutely love, I live by it. This is my favorite concealer I've ever used in my entire life, and it is the Tarte Shape Tape. And that shouldn't even be a surprise to any of you, because the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, everybody loves it. Everyone loves it. Beauty gurus talk about it all the damn time, and it really does live up to its hype. So the only thing I absolutely hate about this concealer is the fact that you can't find it at Sephora or anywhere in Canada. They only sell it at Ulta in the States. So I guess like Tarte has an exclusive deal with Ulta to sell their Shape Tape there. And you can buy it online on Tarte.com. But other than that, you can't find it anywhere. And that's really annoying, because when I went to go purchase it, I didn't know what shade to get. When I looked online, like on the Tarte website to see their shades, it just didn't, like, I couldn't tell which one would match me. And when I went online to look for reviews to see like who else has used it that's my skin tone, there wasn't anybody. There was very few people that were around my skin tone that had reviewed the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, and so I had no idea what color to use. I found like 1 or 2 reviews online, I think on Reddit or something like that, and I'm like, I have no idea what this person looks like. I don't know if they're a beauty guru. I don't know if they know what they're talking about. So can I really take their judgment into consideration? Anyways, long story short, I ended up buying 4 different shades: light, medium, honey, medium, tan, and tan sand. I just figured if it doesn't work for me, then I can keep it in my kit. But not everyone has that luxury, and I actually got someone to pick it up for me from Ulta when they went on a trip, whereas online you can only order 2 at a time. Just so annoying, like just so many hassles around this concealer, but it is so worth the money that it's like, it's worth the struggle. Anyways, so out of all those colors, I prefer tan the most. I think that it just matches my skin tone so well, and it gives me that neutralized look. I'll use medium if I feel like I want a more highlighted look, if I'm going really glam and I just want that pop, but most of the time I use tan. And another reason that I really like tan is because tan has a little bit of a peachy undertone rather than just yellow. And that's another thing that I would suggest to you guys. If you have some dark circles but not really heavy dark circles, instead of going and buying a color corrector and a concealer, just buy a concealer that has a bit of a peachy kind of undertone to it, because that'll naturally help color correct it. These are what the Tarte Shape Tape concealers look like. This is light, medium, honey, this is medium, this is tan, and this is tan sand. What really pisses me off is that they almost all look alike. So it's really hard to differentiate which would look good for you and which wouldn't. If you guys want me to do a full video on just the Tarte Shape Tape concealers and helping you choose the color that works well for you, let me know in the comments below, because I wouldn't mind doing that. Especially because it was so hard for me to figure out what my shade was, and because I have used these concealers on other clients and things like that, I kind of know what works well 4 different skin tones, but I don't want to just talk about the shade range for Tarte the entire time. So the things that I love about this concealer overall is that it's very full coverage. It covers up all my dark circles and any imperfections. It's very easy to blend and it doesn't really cake up. I find that it's not a super, like, it doesn't feel like a super heavy concealer even though it is very full coverage. It doesn't feel like it's like there and caked on. And I absolutely love how much concealer actually comes in this bottle. So another one of my favorite concealers was the Nars Creamy Concealer, and it was so expensive for the amount that I got. This is cheaper than that, and you actually get more product in this bottle too, so it is well worth the money, guys, well worth the money. Now, the second concealer I want to talk about is the Nars Creamy Concealer. I absolutely love that concealer as well. I unfortunately have finished all of mine, so I don't have the bottle with me because I threw it out, but I have everything listed in the description below, so you know exactly what it looks like and where you can find it. I personally think it's super comparable to the Tarte Shape Tape, and a lot of people say that. I think Tarte Shape Tape has a little bit more heavier coverage, but the Nars does a great job as well. I use the color Biscuit, and that too has a bit of a peachy undertone to help color correct underneath my eyes. It gives you great coverage. It is super blendable. It is a little bit more on the expensive side, so I think it's about $40 for like one concealer, which is really expensive, especially if you go through concealer a lot like I do, but it is well worth the money. And I would still choose the Tarte Shape Tape over the Nars just because it's cheaper and I feel like I get more product and a little bit of a heavier coverage. But if you're looking for something with a little bit lighter coverage, like it's not that much lighter, but just slightly lighter, and something that's a lot more accessible so that you can really try on the colors to see what matches you, then the Nars one is fantastic for that, and it is very comparable to the Shape Tape. The third concealer that I've really been liking lately too, and this is my everyday concealer, is the Stellar Limitless Concealer. The bottle is super small, but it is so great to travel with, and I really do like the consistency of this concealer too. It is a medium coverage, but it is buildable, and it is more lightweight than the Nars and the Shape Tape. Now, with that being said, even though it is medium coverage, it gives you a flawless coverage too. I'm wearing it right now, and I don't have any complaints. Like, it covers up my dark circles, and if it covers up mine, it most likely will cover up yours. I'm in the shade SO4, which I believe is medium if you look online, and this does have a bit of a peachy undertone as well. I buy all my, I try to buy all my concealers with more of a peachy undertone just because I feel like it covers up better, but I mean, with my color corrector, it still works out pretty well even if it doesn't have a peachy undertone. And I'm suggesting all the ones with peachy undertones, but again, if you don't have a dark circle problem like I do, then I would just go with your actual undertone. Last but not least, another one of my favorite concealers is the LA Girl Pro Concealer, and you know I had to hit you with a drugstore concealer because all the other ones are a little bit more expensive, and it's really hard like sometimes to go out and spend $40 on a concealer. Sometimes you can't always justify it. So this does a really good job too. Now, I have this in my highlighting shade. I don't know what my actual shade would be, but this one is in Creamy Beige. So this is the shade that is 2 to 3 lighters than my actual skin tone. I'm not exactly sure what my actual shade would be and what I would normally use, just because I use this more to highlight than anything. This concealer is really good. It is super blendable, gives you a medium coverage, but it will give you a full coverage if you add a little bit more to it. And it's so affordable. I buy mine for about $5, and I've seen it range from $5 to $10, but you can find them for $5. If you're in Toronto, there's a store called Clores. They sell like wigs and like random like hair product stuff. You can go find it there. They sell LA Girl, the whole line there, so you can pick these up there for about $5. Other places will sell them for $10, but just know you can get them for cheaper. And not only is it cheap, but it has such a good shade range. Like, they have the lightest to the darkest colors. You have no idea. Like, there's so many concealer colors to choose from with so many different undertones, so they have something for everyone. Those are the concealers that I really love. And just to finish off, I want to remind you guys that you should be setting your concealers with a powder. I use a yellow powder just to really brighten up underneath my eyes. That's what really gives me that bright look rather than me using a shade or two lighter than what I actually am. I use the Nye Banana Powder, but I would just set it with any of your either foundation powder, any type of powder, just so that the concealer doesn't move, because I know I have a lot of questions of like, how do I stop my concealer from creasing or moving or like fading, whatever the case is. Always remember to set a concealer with a powder, and make sure when you do set it with a powder that everything is smoothed out and there's no creases or anything like that, because if there are creases and then you set it with a powder, that crease will set with the powder and you'll just have creases all over the place. And that's all I needed to tell you guys about. Those are my favorite concealers. Those are some tips and tricks for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, that it was resourceful, that you learned something. And if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up button. And also share this with someone who needs the advice, because I get this question all the time, especially my brown girls. It's very hard for us to find a concealer without looking ashy or gray. I went through that phase for like years of my life and I finally figured it out. So I really hope that this video has helped you figure it out as well. Anyways guys, thank you so much for all the constant love and support, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!